Hey everyone, welcome to Mike's Little Lookbacks. On this episode, we are going back to 1991 to explore a family horror comedy film featuring one of the most lovable goofballs in the history of cinema. This is my little look back at Ernest Scared Stupid. Ernest Scared Stupid is one of a number of films featuring the character of Ernest P. Worrell. To understand the magic of the Ernest movies, one must look at the origin of the character and charm that made him a national sensation. The concept of the character was created by John Cherry and Jerry Carden of the Carden and Cherry Advertising Agency for a series of local TV ads. They brought Jim Varney in to play the part, having worked with him on some TV ads previously, and he would bring the character of Ernest P. Worrell to life with his unique sense of humor and physical comedy. The ads were filmed at the home of John Cherry, with Ernest talking to his neighbor Vern, played by the cameraman, about whatever product was being marketed. The ads were a hit, with more and more demand for Ernest P. Worrell to work his magic. Jim Varney would star as the character in hundreds of local commercials across the country, leading to the transition of the character to TV and movies. Cherry and Carden signed a multi-picture deal with Touchstone Pictures, featuring distribution through Buena Vista Pictures. The first of these films was Ernest Goes to Camp in 1987, followed by Ernest Saves Christmas in 1988, and Ernest Goes to Jail in 1990. If you'd like to know more about Jim Varney and the creation and legacy of Ernest P. Worrell, I highly recommend the YouTube video Jim Varney, the Original Viral Star by Hats Off Entertainment. There's a link in the description. Most of the Ernest films were a collaborative effort between John Cherry and Jim Varney, along with a few others. Cherry directed most of the films and would even write some of them. For this film, Cherry came up with the story idea with longtime Ernest collaborator Cokes Sam. Cokes would go on to write the screenplay for the film along with Charles Gale. The idea for Ernest Scared Stupid came from Cherry, who wanted Ernest to stop a bad guy with a mission, but Disney were apparently the ones who wanted a Halloween movie. There were reportedly 14 drafts of the script for this film, with an early version featuring a haunted statue. This idea was rejected by Disney. They thought a haunted statue was a dumb idea, and yet the Haunted Mansion ride features a number of haunted statues. Classic Disney. The film stars Jim Varney in the titular role of Ernest P. Worrell. Eartha Kitt played Old Lady Hackmore. Meow. Gross. Daniel Butler played Sheriff Cliff Binder. Austin Nagler played Kenny Binder. Shay Astor played Elizabeth. Jonas Moscartolo played the troll Trantor, with Ernie Fossilius providing the voice of the creature. John Cadenhead played Tom Tulip, and Bill Burge played his brother, Bobby Tulip. The real star of the film, Barkley the dog, played Ernest's best friend, Rimshot. There are a number of top-tier live-action canine besties from this era. For me, it's Wishbone, White Fang, Beethoven, Milo from The Mask, and Rimshot. The film was shot in Nashville, Tennessee between May and July of 1991. The main street of the fictional town of Briarville was played by a neighborhood known as 5 Points. For the forest, a massive set was built in a 100,000 square foot former shoe factory. It featured real soil and real trees, as well as the foam-covered steel enchanted trees. The Hackmore estate was filmed at a private home that was going through a renovation at the time. The metal sculptures in the front yard made the house a bit of a tourist attraction during filming. One interesting note about the production design is that every scene featuring milk is using the Purity Dairy brand, which is one of the first companies to feature Ernest in a commercial. While it is a family film, they wanted it to be genuinely scary, so they hired the Kyoto brothers to design the trolls. They were well versed in creature designs, having worked previously on Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Critters. In fact, some of the trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid were reused clowns from the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The troll deaths also reused the spinning death animations from Killer Clowns. There were 16 actors cast to play the trolls. They would spend up to 14 hours a day in heavy costumes, and it would get so hot on set that some of the actors had to use battery-powered hair dryers to circulate cool air through the mouthpieces of the costumes to avoid passing out. I don't think people that play nameless costume characters in movies get enough credit. When you consider how long they spend getting into makeup, only to spend hours upon hours in a state of discomfort, only to spend more hours getting the makeup off just to come back and do it again a short time later, all for our amusement and no accolades, just doesn't seem fair. Well, all that ends today. To the trolls who worked on Ernest Scared Stupid: Jonas Moscartolo, Nellie Batson, Angela Chow, Renee Clary, Deidre Clower, Rhonda Clower, Ann Dressen, Misty Eaker, Ralph Green Jr., Tammy Harrison, Dana Kennedy, Pamela Kipps, Renee LeBlanc, Glenn Sear, Tawanya Smith, Todd Suttles, and Douglas Zagorski. I salute you. The film premiered on October 11th, 1991. One of the things that made Ernest films so successful is that they were very cheap to produce. Ernest Goes to Camp had a budget of $3.5 million and a box office return of $23.5 million, which would be about $65 million in 2024. Not box office shattering numbers, but with such a low budget, that's a studio hit. Did Ernest Scared Stupid live up to its predecessors? Unfortunately, no, it did not. On a budget of $9.6 million, it made a total of $14.1 million at the box office. It was the lowest grossing film out of the 4 Ernest flicks that Touchstone produced. While there was a contract to make another Ernest film, Disney decided not to proceed and cut ties, but allowed John Cherry to keep the rights to Ernest, which allowed the character to live on, albeit in mostly direct-to-video fashion. Funny enough, much like another Disney-produced Halloween family film that flopped, Hocus Pocus, Ernest Scared Stupid would go on to gain popularity after being released on video. Nowadays, it's considered a favorite to many fans of Ernest P. Worrell. After the release of Ernest Scared Stupid, Jim Varney would make 5 more Ernest movies, as well as getting some opportunities to really show his range as an actor in other projects. Sadly, in 1998, Jim was diagnosed with lung cancer. He fought the disease and continued to work until February of 2000, when he passed away at the age of 50. We miss you, Jim. Full disclosure, while I'm a huge fan of Ernest, I spend most of my time rewatching Ernest Goes to Camp. I was actually planning to do a little look back on that summer of last year, but life got in the way. I do watch this film around the spooky season though, just to get a little Ernest fix. Let's give it a look together as I recap Ernest Scared Stupid. The opening sequence of the film features a bunch of clips from old black and white horror and sci-fi movies intercut with Ernest mugging for the camera. If I'm being honest, it goes on a bit too long. The opening scene takes place in Brierville, Missouri a long time ago. A little girl is being chased by an unseen creature. It looks as though she's about to be dinner when a bunch of villagers throw nets over the girl's pursuer. They take the unseen creature to a hole that's been dug for it. The entire town is gathered there, led by the Reverend Phineas Worrell, also played by Jim Varney.
Here he shall be buried, and this oak tree will seal his fate.
Okay, I'm just putting this out there. Jim Varney with white mutton chops is haunting. Anyway, before they can bury the creature in the sack, it curses Phineas, telling him that someday one of his lineage will release the creature. We transition to the modern day where a young girl named Elizabeth is giving a report on the town's history to her class. The class bully doesn't like her report, but a boy named Kenny comes to her defense. The teacher also appreciates the report and asks Elizabeth what the curse was that was placed on Phineas.
Phineas's descendants would get dumber and dumber.
And thus our hero, Ernest P. Worrell, is introduced. Ernest is testing out his latest invention, which should streamline his job. I always love Ernest's inventions that don't work. I tip my hat to the production team that brought these wacky devices to life because they always work for a bit before they fail, and Ernest's latest masterpiece is no different. Ernest's dog Rimshot takes pity on his master and tries to put him out of his misery by activating the trash compactor with Ernest in it, but this only displays Ernest's superpower, that he's unkillable. After being rescued by Kenny and Elizabeth, Ernest gets pulled over by the sheriff, who is Kenny's dad. Apparently, Ernest was tasked with cleaning up the property at the Hackmore estate, but has been avoiding it. The mayor has told the sheriff to fire Ernest if he doesn't get the job done, so Ernest reluctantly heads to the job site.
Old Lady Hackmore will turn us into a couple of drooling, red-eyed zombies if she catches us here.
What are you expecting one man to do about this? It would take teams working round the clock to get this place cleaned up. Also, what's with all the fires? This lady's gas bill must be astronomical. Anyway, Ernest knocks on the door and gets a warm Old Lady Hackmore welcome.
For my property!
She's a sweetheart once you get to know her. We cut to Elizabeth, Kenny, and their friend Joey, who are working on a haunted house they built for Halloween, when it gets destroyed by the white privilege bullies, who also happen to be the mayor's kids, the Murdoch boys. Well, I hope bad things happen to them. Kenny tells Ernest about what happened, and Ernest tells him that he needs to learn a lesson in self-defense from the African country of Botswana.
Plucky little nation that defeated the giant Ottoman Empire.
Only problem is that the Ottoman Empire invaded northern Africa, and Botswana is in the south. Oh, and it didn't exist as a country at the time of the Ottoman Wars, but Ernest gets a pass on this one because he's been cursed with idiocy. When Ernest is telling his tale, something odd happens.
The screeching war cry of the Ottoman horde. The Ottoman, and you're not! Oh my, I'm afraid.
So when I first saw this, I was confused as to what was going on. I thought that maybe the entire scene was in Ernest's head, but we keep cutting to Kenny, who's enjoying the show. There's no way that Ernest is quick changing costumes and makeup, so the characters must be in his head and he's just changing his voice and mannerisms. In any event, Kenny thinks that the high ground means that they need a treehouse. Ernest takes the kids into the woods to look for the perfect tree, and I really have to question his judgment.
This is neat.
You say neat, I say there's no way I'd be following you into that darkness. The kids are hesitant, but follow Ernest in, with Kenny bravely leading from the rear.
Come on. It's okay. Go on.
Ernest chooses the most sinister-looking tree to be the base of the treehouse. As he and the kids start the construction process, the camera pans beneath the ground under the tree, and apparently it's hollow? We see the trapped creature from the opening, still trapped but squirming around at the commotion above. I mean, that is concerning, but not nearly as concerning as how structurally unsound that tree is with all that negative space under it.
Well, it is against city regulations and all.
We get a montage of the kids setting up their treehouse fortifications. The end result is a treehouse that every kid would want to live in, but that 3 kids and a Worrell could not have built in an afternoon. Old Lady Hackmore shows up, having sensed a disturbance in the force, and she is pleasantly surprised by the development.
You will open the ancient door, and all that lurks inside. Flee this evil place! Flee!
Again, she's really a big softie once you get past the crazy facade she puts on. Ernest runs off to smooth things over with her when the Murdochs show up.
I think they went this way. Yeah, they gotta be around here somewhere.
What do you mean you think they went this way? They ventured into these woods hours ago. If you two have been following them all day but got lost for literal hours, you must be idiots. Also, get a f***ing life! Fortunately, Ernest's history lesson paid off and our heroes were ready for the bullies this time.
Got it! Bingo! Chicken liver coming up! Now! Way to go, Joey!
What are you doing? Canned food, fine. But you're wasting pizza! Stop it! Stop it right now! How did you even get that many pizzas delivered to the spooky woods just to throw at people? Okay, I see who the real monsters of the movie are.
You will bring down the curse on us all!
With victory at hand, the bullies retreat. Later that night, Ernest returns from Old Lady Hackmore's place, and she told Ernest about the curse.
That ugly little rascal is still alive. Down there.
Even though the troll is still alive, it's trapped beneath the tree, so it seems like nobody has anything to worry about.
He can only be awakened when a Worrell places his hand on a tree like this and says,
Yea, I call thee forth, Trantor.
Why? Why would you tell him how to summon the troll when you know he's the only one who could do it? Ernest is not to blame for this. He's cursed. Old Lady Hackmore should have known better. Now I don't know who's the bigger villain. Her for releasing the troll, or the kids for wasting those pizzas. They were whole pizzas! Just... I'm calm. I'm cool. Look, they're not even real pizzas, okay? They're reused props from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. Everything's fine. Damn it. Now I want a pizza prop. A delicious pizza prop with melty mozzarella, crispy pepperoni, delectable sausage crumbles. I don't have a problem. Look, I can quit pizza anytime I want to.
Need I say more?
A strike of lightning scares the kids away, leaving Ernest in the treehouse alone with Rimshot. It's here that we meet our troll, Trantor. I mean, it's a family film. How scary could he be? Holy shit. Okay, that's a little intense for the kids. John Cherry has even stated in more recent years that he made Trantor too scary, which may have impacted the film's box office. In any event, Ernest justifiably cowers from the troll, resulting in... Over by the road, the kids go their separate ways, each heading home. The camera sticks with Joey, meaning that something bad is about to happen to him. He slips and falls, but his reaction seems a bit over the top. I'm going to show you the clip, but then I'm going to show you what I think about every time I see the clip. Okay, you've seen the fall, and this is what my brain thinks of regarding Joey's reaction to it.
I can't swim! I'm drowning! I'm drowning!
I'm sorry if I ruined that scene for anyone, because I know that from this point forward, you're not going to be able to watch it without that parallel. Anyway, Joey calls out for help, and we learn one of Trantor's villainous powers.
Hey, I gotcha.
Thanks, Ernest.
Joey gets turned into a little wooden version of himself and placed inside the tree that held Trantor captive. This causes little troll pods to start growing from the tree. Meanwhile, Ernest rushes to the sheriff's house to tell him about his encounter with the troll, but of course the sheriff doesn't believe him. Ernest returns to Old Lady Hackmore to tell her that he released the troll. It's here that we learn a bit about how to stop it.
There is one who can stop me if he will dare. With the heart of a child.
It's unclear what that means, but Hackmore tells Ernest that he has to stop the troll before he can collect 5 children. If Trantor gets 5 kids before midnight on Halloween, he will create an unstoppable army of trolls. Ernest objects, claiming that he's not up for the task, but Hackmore knows just how to inspire him.
You are the great redneck hope!
The great redneck hope. Hallelujah! Troll alert! This is not a drill!
I don't think that's quite what she had in mind, but okay. In his quest to alert the town, Ernest encounters the Tulip Brothers, who run a surplus store. They don't believe in trolls either, but they know an opportunity when they see one.
Troll away spray, $19.95 a piece. 2 Bolivian Army slingshots, $9.95 each.
What's interesting about the Tulip Brothers is that every Ernest movie has a pair of characters similar to them. In previous films, the lead of this pair was played by Gillard Sartain, and while John Cadenhead does a fine job, he's just really doing a Gillard Sartain impression. I don't know if there's any truth to the rumor that Gillard and John Cherry had a falling out during the filming of Ernest Goes to Jail, but he is severely missed here.
Would somebody dressed like this lie to you about food?
Kenny and Elizabeth head back to the treehouse looking for Joey. They find the hole in the tree with Joey's little wooden statue. They hear Trantor and make a run for it. They head to Old Lady Hackmore's house because they see Ernest's truck outside. Trantor follows them, but gives up and grabs a random kid on a skateboard instead. The kids tell Ernest what they saw at the treehouse. Hackmore says Trantor is getting stronger, and the solution is from the book earlier.
We need a heart. A child's heart.
I have to say, Eartha Kitt is a joy in this movie. She steals every scene she's in, and when you're acting against the lovable Jim Varney, that's a hard thing to do. I'll bet they had a blast on set. Ernest sets up a troll trap using a dumpster. The idea is that it looks like a troll motel, but whatever that is, and when the troll climbs in the dumpster...
Indo trollo, comprendo?
That night, Trantor seizes the opportunity to kidnap Elizabeth from her bedroom. Ernest stops at a grocery store for some snacks, and Trantor follows him inside. Ernest doesn't see him, but the clerk does, only he's unable to verbalize it.
Gosh, Jimmy, what's got into you? Oh boy, charades, I love charades. I see something big.
Once again, we see that Milk drives the troll away, but the one person who needs to see it doesn't. Elsewhere, while Kenny is out looking for his dad, he encounters another student, and they both think they hear Elizabeth's voice. This, of course, turns out to be another Trantor special.
He's not it. Over here, Kenny.
Kenny is almost captured by Trantor, but is saved by a milk truck that passes by. Over at the police station, a bunch of parents are reporting their missing children. The sheriff says that they're probably over at the school for the town Halloween party. He's clearly overwhelmed by the situation, but Is he the only one who works at the police station? Like, where are the deputies and the patrol officers? No wonder you have a troll problem. This town is lawless.
What are you gonna do about it, Runt?
Ernest's troll alarm goes off, so he collects the dumpster and takes it to the sheriff's office, where Kenny and the mayor also are. The mayor is there to report his missing boys, and Kenny is reporting his troll encounters. With the arrival of Ernest, at least one of those problems is about to be solved.
Some heads are gonna roll, ain't they?
Just not the problem we want solved, know what I mean? Also, how dumb are the Murdochs? Why would you both climb into a dumpster labeled Troll Motel? Ernest is looking like a genius compared to some of these people. Anyway, the mayor fires Ernest, and for some reason, this makes Kenny seem to not believe him anymore.
Kenny, tell him.
What is that look and shrug? You just saw a kid turned into wood by the troll. How could you be doubting anything right now? Ernest doubts himself for a moment, but then has a realization that leads to a great cutaway gag.
I've never known when to quit. Just ask my 4th grade teacher.
He never knew when to quit.
Over at the Hackmore estate, we see that Old Lady Hackmore has 4 wooden statues of the children that Trantor turned before he was captured back at the start of the movie. Over at the treehouse, Trantor is just 1 statue away from completing the whole set. Ernest shows up and sees the pods growing on the tree. He heads off to tell Lady Hackmore, but gets attacked on the way.
Away from me!
Huh. I didn't know Rimshot had his license. Good for him, though I am curious how he's pushing the accelerator. Ernest knocks Trantor off the truck and Rimshot runs him over, but of course that doesn't stop our magical villain. Ernest returns to Old Lady Hackmore, and they discover a hidden page in the book about trolls. It says the troll can be destroyed with M-I something K. The 3rd letter is missing, and while we all know what that is, Ernest has other ideas.
Another child.
That's it. Authentic Bulgarian Miak.
Ah, Bulgarian Miak. For those of you wanting to experience it on your next culinary journey, I'm sorry to report that it was made up for the movie. Which means it can be anything you want it to be. In fact, I'm drinking Miak right now.
Hey.
Over at the school, Old Lady Hackmore sees a mother and child fight before quickly reconciling, and this gives her the actual solution to the troll problem.
Unconditional love.
Huh. I mean, I guess Trantor has the face that only a mother could love. Oh, I was wrong. Take it down. Take it down. No mother could love that. The kids are doomed. Doomed!
But I wouldn't call it a nightmare either.
Inside the Halloween party, Trantor gets the last kid he needs and reveals himself to the townsfolk.
Matt, son!
Ernest boldly taunts the troll, believing that he has its version of kryptonite, only...
Eat Miak and die.
The milk in the ice cream drives Trantor away, but there was another casualty from the attack.
Rimshot! Rimshot, oh boy!
Ernest has been pushed too far. He leads the rest of the town to the treehouse to take on Trantor. Meanwhile, Kenny figures out the troll's real weakness and leads a group of kids on a milk raid.
Wait! Whoa!
Okay, I would just like to point out that after they stop the trolls, these kids are all going to be spending some time in juvie. Vigilante justice cannot be tolerated.
Speak for yourself.
Over at the tree, Trantor finishes his ritual. Ernest shows up, ready to go full John Wick, and rams the troll into the tree with his truck, which is very satisfying to see, but is unfortunately not effective. The townsfolk show up, but are immediately attacked by Trantor's army of trolls. The adults are getting their butts kicked until Kenny and team arrive armed with milk-filled super soakers.
Come on, guys. Let's go get him.
With the tide starting to turn against him, Trantor calls out for help.
Evil demons, make me strong.
Evil demons? Aren't you a demon of sorts? I know trolls are represented rather differently in different cultures, but the Old Norse word troll meant fiend or demon, so who exactly are you calling to for help?
Where are the Ottomans?
In the chaos, Old Lady Hackmore places the 4 wooden kid statues that she has in the tree. Back in the treehouse, Ernest starts going on about the high ground again, only this time Kenny finds it far less entertaining.
Trolls, is it?
Oh, great. I have to defend the fort with a multiple personality.
Well, I guess that answers that question. The kids, Kenny and Ernest, continue kicking troll butt, with Kenny getting one of my favorite moments of the movie. They defeat the last of the troll army, but before they can celebrate, Super Trantor appears and turns Kenny into a statue. Did the sheriff just smile? Yeah, that looked like he almost smiled or laughed and quickly turned his head to hide it. I know he's not really your kid, but you're being paid to act like he is. Jeez. Anyway, Trantor gets ready to take on Ernest when Ernest finally realizes what the book meant, so rather than fight the troll, he tries a different approach.
You're so cute.
It works! It's disgusting, but it works, and the children are freed, including the 4 that Old Lady Hackmore put in the tree.
Sister Frances? Is that you?
My sister.
First off, there is no way you would have recognized this old woman as your sister. And second, your sister? How f***ing old is Old Lady Hackmore? Even if the opening scene took place in the late 1800s, she would have to be over 100 years old by now. I mean, if she is that old, she looks great.
I'll say, meow.
I think I'm gonna be sick. It seems that everyone is getting a happy ending, except for Ernest and, you know, those 2 white kids whose parents probably died a long time ago, but mainly Ernest.
There's nothing in that tree for me.
Boy, where have you been? Did you miss your daddy?
What I love about Jim Varney is that he can be doing the silliest slapstick in one scene and then completely tug at your heartstrings in the next. I think this movie still holds up as a fun Halloween family flick. Sure, the trolls can be a little intense for some very young viewers, but it has the same family-friendly values featured in all of Ernest's movies. Love, friendship, and just generally not being a douche. I personally think the world would be a much better place if everyone learned some lessons from Ernest P. Worrell.
Ernest P. Worrell, man of destiny.
I want to thank my patrons who financially support the channel on Patreon. Jay Booth, Sean Hart, Jimmy Purcell, Rick Maxwell, Tony Ebers, Jessica Tim, EC, J.R. Green, Emilio Flores, and AJN. If you want to seize the high ground and get early access to videos and behind-the-scenes content, you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. For more information, go to patreon.com/jackofallnerds.
Human sacrifice would definitely be a last resort.
What are your thoughts on Ernest Scared Stupid? Is it something you saw when you were a kid? Which Ernest movie is your favorite? If you had to kiss a snot-faced troll to save the world, would you, or just let it burn? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if there is something from your childhood you want to see me tackle on this show, mention it in the comments. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go hunt down some more authentic Bulgarian miak. I just ran out, and it's very hard to come by this time of year. Later!
You picked the wrong guy to tangle with. Squid lips.
Thanks for watching, Vern. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a share. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified when more of these videos go up. Know what I mean?